better. So this is competition is everywhere. Got it? But how you're going to compete, that is the question. Got it? So competition can be made by fair means, and also competition can be made by unfair means also. Now, what is actually competition? It is nothing but a fight to win. To sustain in a society, you have to compete or you have to fight with someone to live peacefully or successfully. Okay. So fight to win with a person who is doing some good work, or who is doing some same type of work whatever you are doing, with a person who is doing same work. With that person only you can compete. Got it? For example, someone is giving CBSE class 12 and someone in BCom. This person cannot compete with the BCom guide. Got it? Because two are different. But under CBSE, one student can compete with the other. So both the person should do the same work. Then only you can do competition. Competition happens whenever you are doing same thing. Like it may be, for example, drawing competition. So all are doing the same work. Out of that, the judge is going to find out the best one. Swimming competition. Who is going to do good? Same work. That person is going to, competition is going on, that person is going to win. Clear na? So competition always happens to fight to win, and that is also between a person who are doing same work. So this is very important. So I am doing manufacturing work and you are teacher. We can't compete with each other. Got it? We have to stay in a same field. Then only we can compete. Now, how we can compete in a fair means and unfair means? Take an example. We both are giving, for example, you and some other X. Both you are going to give CMA final. Now, you have studied hard. You have studied hard, and you passed. Okay. But this X also passed, but by copying from other copying from other copy or books like that. Got it? So you both are in a same field. You have passed in fair means because you studied hard and you passed. But this person also passed. Got it? That is not a question. But how he passed? By copying, which is unfair means. So this is what competition. This competition has been imposed just to impose restriction on these type of people who are competing by unfair means. Because both the people are doing same thing, both the people will win somehow. But the question is how you are going to win. So me and you, both, for example, Mr. A and Mr. B, both earns money. But the question is how they are earning money. One is doing a job in bank, for example. He gets salary and that's where he is going to earn money. B is doing smuggling. Okay. Through that, he is earning money. Both are earning money. That is not the question. But how you are earning money, how you are competing, whether it is a legal way or a unfair means or a fair means, that is the question. Now, before what happens now, whenever the Competition Act was not there, so this unfair means was more, the people who are winning through unfair means, those people are actually restricting those people who actually try to win in a fair means. Current, this is everywhere. But In a corporate, this act is going to impose restrictions, some rules or regulations. This why this act came. There are many people are there who are winning through unfair means. But if those people are caught, that people must be punishable under this Competition Act 2002. Clear? So that is why this Competition Act came. Clear? So this is the basic things of Competition Act. Now we are going to see something. Now I already said like competition always both type of groups you will get in your life or in the one is who is doing everything in a fair means, those who are having no value in the society, and some people are there they always win through unfair means. Now competition is always required in corporate to achieve good, better, or to become better. For example, why it is needed, think two industries there. Now this industry is doing or manufacturing some product. So until and unless I compete with this industry, how I am going to manufacture some product which will be better from this product? So always to do something better, I need to compete with someone who is already doing good. Got it? Now, fair means competition. See, you are winning competition. By fair means, some example I will give you, like for example, innovation, which can comes from your mind. Okay, you can do good quality of product, quality, improvisation. By improvising the quality also, you can win the competition. Or you can make the product cost effective. So in this way also you can win the competition. Now all these type of things, innovation, creativity, quality improvisation, cost effective, all these are actually fair means. Got it? So these are legal. You can do it. In a competition, to sustain in a competition market, you have to do something better. You have to work hard. You have to do lot of you need to take lot of education relating to this field, and you need to do the improvisation of the quality. You have to observe many things. These are all fair means how you are going to win the race. But unfair means what? There are two things are there normally as per Competition Act. One is whether I started recording. Predatory pricing.
I have put it, ma'am.
Okay. Predatory pricing. You will see this term in Competition Act manywhere. What does this mean? Predatory pricing. This means whenever you are selling something below cost. Got it? This is actually unfair, Like for example, think there are two sellers, A and B. As per law, the seller should sell the product as per market rate, first of all, or else if that person gives discount also, but that must be negligible. Got it? For example, -2 +2, this actual market rate, if it is 2, then that person can charge maximum 12. Okay, or by giving discount, he can take maximum 8 or 7. Now, this because to make one product, for example, think Mr. B manufacture pencil or pen. Think this is a pen. Now he has to manufacture this pen, means he has to collect the plastic, he has to charge, he has to pay for the plastic if it is a plastic pen, then the nib, then the cap he has to separately, he has to assemble the full thing. So to manufacture this product, he has paid some money. So whatever money he has paid, obviously, whenever he is going to sell, at least 1-2 rupees extra he is going to take. Then what the use of selling? At least the profit 2 rupees he should take, na? 1 or 2. So, as per law, this is actually fair. He should do this. But think, A's intention is not good. A's intention is to take all the customer of B. Got it? Now B cannot sell it below rate. Means he can take maximum at 8 because for making this pen, for example, he has spent rupees 7. So at least below 7 he cannot take. At least no profit, no loss, that is breaking point. He can do that. Got it? But not below that. Why he will sell something at loss? This is actually unfair. So he cannot do it. But think A's intention is not good, negative intention. A is targeting the customer of B. A is targeting to take all the customer of B. Now suddenly A is also manufacturing the same pen and selling at rupees 2. So what this customer are seeing? They are getting the same product at rupees 2. All customer will come to A and will take this. So he will say what happened? B wants to sell this pen to at least one person at a correct rate. But say, for example, one person if he is selling, he cannot sell less than 7. So he will take rupees 7. And what A is targeting, I will take more customer. So he will take 7 customer from B and he will take 7 by selling. So in this way, by selling, because you know, we people are human beings, where the less price, we will go there. So in this way, less than market rate, they are going to distribute the product to with a negative intention, with a hope of getting more customer, and they will take all the fixed customer of B in this way. So though his intention is not correct, okay, that's why this is unfair means, and in legal word we called it, it's a predatory pricing. Selling below cost is actually negative intention. You must have negative intention, otherwise a loyal person cannot do such thing. To make something, for example, you are preparing some food. To prepare such food, for example, you are having a you are having a restaurant. So you are preparing a Chinese noodles. So to prepare such noodles, you have to buy the noodles. Then you will prepare it with oil. You need, what are the ingredients you need it? Oil, then all the sauce. Okay. Then if you want to put chicken, all those things, then that cost is also you have to include. So all total, the preparation of such food will be cost as 20 rupees. How you are going to charge that noodles from the customer at rupees 10 or 9? Because you cannot sell anything at loss. Got it? Until and unless you can do that.
Yeah, ma'am.
So this first unfair means, as per Competition Act, they are telling predatory pricing is totally coming under unfair means. Secondly, tired selling. This word also you will get. Tired selling. Which means you are fixing the customer by threat. That means I am telling you, for example, think I am the seller. Now I am telling you that if I manufacture some product or something, so I am telling to my customer that if you want to buy this product, then you have to buy from me only, otherwise I will see you. I'm just threatening you that I'm just tying the customer. Okay, when the seller will try to tie the customer in unfair means, by threatening or in a fraudulent means, like seller is try to hold this customer in a way like, please if you want to buy this product, you have to buy from me. Otherwise, I will restrict to buy. I won't give you to purchase this same product from other people. I will see you like that. I'm threatening someone, my customer. So, out of fear only, the customer will buy the product from me. So in this way, I'm tying the customer so that fixed, I will get a fixed customer so that they every time come to me and buy whatever I am selling. Okay, without any question. So this is also one of the unfair means. So predatory pricing and tied selling is both are coming under unfair means. Clear? So this Competition Act came with certain objectives. So what are the objectives of such Competition Act 2002? First is to promote and sustain competition. That means any person or any fresher or fresh entrant who are actually entering into a market as a seller, new entrant, that person, so that that person can do the competition in a fair way. For that, this Competition Act is coming to protect them and also to promote themselves that yes, if anyone is restricting you to compete in a fair means, this Competition Act is going to impose punishment on them. Got it? So that competition can be done in a market in a proper way to sustain competition, such Competition Act has been implemented. Next objective of this act is prevent practices which is having an appreciable adverse effect in competition. Okay, so Competition Act is going to prevent practices. What type of practices? If you are having an appreciable adverse effect. Adverse effect means wrong. So if you do any type of wrongful activities in the competition or while doing competition, if you involved yourself with any fraudulent activities, such type of practices is going to be prevented by such act, Competition Act. Got it. This is the second objectives. Third objective is to protect the interest of the consumer. Interest of the consumer. So obviously now, so when a consumer, so that the consumer can do the competition in the market in a fair means, okay, and no other person who are supposed, whose intention is to do the competition in a unfair means, they should not come in between. Okay, so to protect such interest of the consumer, this act has been enforced. And lastly, point number 4, to ensure freedom of trade. That means trade means, you know, buying and selling of goods and services. So that you can trade properly in a market whenever you are a new entrant in a market, so that you can do a proper trading or you can do your business properly, to ensure that this Competition Act has been enforced. Clear? So these are the objectives of Competition Act. And also, you know, without competition, nothing can become better. So you have to compete with someone to be a better person. So that's why from that perspective, point number 5, you can write, it always, this act always improves economic efficiency of the country. Got it. So always you should improve something. So already the existing product is there and you will compete with the owner of that product and you will try to make the same product but in an improvised manner. Got it. To sustain in the market. So always, every product, every year, every time, always a new model they manufacture. Why? Because we are not interested in the old model. Whatever the old is there, what are the from that old model? What are the advantages, disadvantages? We have to overcome those disadvantages. Got it? So we have to overcome that disadvantages and we will make a better product by observing the existing product. So by in this way, we are going to improve the efficiency of the country also. Got it? So these are the 5 objectives of Competition Act. Now, this Competition Act 2002, its enforcement date is 13 January 2003. That means in 2002, this act has been written and passed in Parliament on 13 January 2003 and then published. Now, it is came in 2002, right? But before 2002, the Competition Act was not there, but there was one act, that is MRTP Act. In 2002 only, MRTP Act replaced by this Competition Act. Got it? So before this, actually, MRTP Act was there. MRTP means monopolies and restrictive trade practices. So first concentrate on first portion, that is monopolies. What do you mean by monopolies? Monopoly, single. Yes, single seller. So before what happens now, this act was there were some certain disadvantages were there in this act. Though it is a monopolies and restrictive trade practices, here what happens, the system was like that, there are sellers who are selling the product in the market. Those single or individual seller was having right to fix the price. Got it? But it actually creates a dispute. Like I am also making a pen, you are also making a pen, Lekha is also making a pen. Now I am putting the pen's prices, for example, rupees 5. You are fixing the price as rupees 7 and Lekha is fixing the price at rupees 10. Got it? So it creates actually confusion in the market.
Yeah.
Got it? So always the same brand should have a same value in everywhere. Whether this pen you are buying from any normal shop or big bazaar or anywhere, the same brand pen should have a same value, na? So seller cannot fix it like that. So this creates lot of confusion among the consumer. First disadvantages was there in MRTP Act. After that, and along with these things, in this act, lot of restrictive trade practices are also there. Like seller cannot do this, seller cannot do that, all those things. They have to concentrate on the some only the monopolistic trade. Got it? So all these things were there. So there was no scope of competition. So this act was restrictive practices means they have prohibited the consumer or sorry the seller that you have to focus always on monopolistic trade. Monopolistic trade. So don't interfere in others' price or what other is doing. Just you do it, what you want to fix it, sell it in there. Okay. And due to this, it actually increase the competition in means of unfair means. So people are doing what? If you are getting that power to fix the any price, then you will fix any price, right? I am not going to check what is the market rate and all. I will try to see, okay, this person can give me money, okay, let me charge more. And I will sell to them more. I won't see like, no, what price exactly I need to fix. I won't see all those things. So that's why the unfair means suddenly increased more. So that's why this MRTP Act was very negative act. After that, they have said, ki, okay, fine, this needs to be replaced. So they have worked on it, on those disadvantageous things, and they have brought a new act, that is Competition Act 2002. And now Competition Act came by replacing MRTP Act, and now Competition Act is going good. Got it? So this is the overview and or introduction of Competition Act 2002. So if you are asked to write, I hope you can write something, essay on this. Now I will start the provisions.
Okay.
First is, just we are going on Competition Act 2002. Now first thing is, this Competition Act 2002 prohibited some agreements. Got it? That means you cannot enter into such agreement. Got it? Not allowed. As per Competition Act 2002, you being a seller are not eligible to enter into such type of agreement. So first heading you can give, prohibition of agreement. Okay. Now, what type of agreement as per this act has been prohibited? They are telling, as per Competition Act, first, any enterprise or association of enterprise or maybe single seller, I mean that means person, okay, or maybe a group of person cannot, prohibition is there, na? Cannot enter into any agreement in respect of production, supply, distribution, storage, acquisition or control of goods, which is having or which actually cause, if such agreement cause appreciable adverse effect. This term you can mark because this term will come everywhere in Competition Act. Appreciable adverse effect, which means having a wrong effect or negative effect or tending to cause harm. Okay, which means this full term means appreciable adverse effect. That means wrong, harm, okay, these things. If your means if enterprise or association of enterprise or any person or association of person is entering into an agreement relating to this like production, supply, distribution, storage, acquisition, control of goods, And if their agreement's main objective is to cause wrong or harm to others in the market, then such agreement is not allowed to enter as per Competition Act. Got it? Under prohibition of agreement, this is the first point. Clear? So this is actually, if your intention is not negative, then you can enter. But if you are entering into this agreement just to cause harm to others, then it is not allowed. Next point. Any agreement, if you want to enter, and if such agreement is prepared in contravention of the provision, that means you have prepared that agreement without following the provisions of the law, then such agreement is void, or if you enter into such agreement, that is also not allowed as per Competition Act. So, you know, agreement is always prepared as per Indian Contract Act. We have read before. So, there are certain rules and regulations like proper offer, proper acceptance, all those essentials should be there while preparing the agreement or contract. Now, if you are not following those actual rules and regulations while preparing agreement, such agreement is going to be treated as invalid or void. Got it?
Yeah.
Next is now third point, see. Think an agreement is entered between an enterprise or association of enterprise, okay, and between, okay, always enters between the enterprise, enterprises or association of enterprises, or same thing like any persons or association of persons. So if any agreement is entered between them and which is engaged in, means both of them are engaged in identical or similar trade of goods, or provision of services, whatever it is, whatever whatever goods you are going to manufacture or whatever services you are giving, both the parties who have entered into an agreement, both are having same or identical types of business. Got it? If both of you directly or indirectly determines the purchase or sale price, first of all, you both are determining the purchase or sale price, or else through that agreement, if you are limiting the control of production, supply, any technical development, all these things. Got it? So I have entered into an agreement with you. Okay, think me and you are doing same type of business. Got it? We are having two different industry, two different business. Now we entered into an agreement, and through that agreement, I have written that you cannot do any type of technical development, or I have written like you cannot do any R&D on the product. So that means what? I am restricting on certain thing through that agreement. If you are limiting anything of other person through agreement, such agreement is not void. Okay. And secondly, first point is, for example, I entered into an agreement with you and I said you through this agreement that yes, we entered into an agreement. I will pay you for that. You cannot do any R&D. Whatever product you are selling, you are going to sell the same product. You cannot do any improvisation. Whatever improvisation is need to be done, I will do it. This is wrong. I cannot enter into such type of agreement with you. Got it? Secondly is, see, we both manufacture pen. Got it? Now think the market price of this pen is rupees 12. Okay? 1 to rupees it may vary with us. Got it? Now think we entered into an agreement. We both manufacture the same pen, for example. Now we both entered into an agreement that you can't sell this pen more than don't sell this pen more than 10. Okay. I am going to fix the price for rupees 7 so that people come to me and buy it. I will give whatever you are going to fix, you just tell me, okay, I am going to fix the price rupees 2 less. Now Competition Act gives no such provision to fix the rate. Whatever is the market rate, you have to take either that or else it will be like negligible on your expenditures, +2, -2, but not more than. You cannot take excessive more than market price. I cannot charge 20 if the market rate is 12, or else I cannot take rupees 2 also if the market rate is 12. You have to take or you have to charge a correct amount. Got it? So we cannot determine or fix any price through an agreement, which is also will be treated as void. Clear?
Okay.
Third point. This is third point only, na? Fourth point. Through an agreement, for example, two person is entering into an agreement or two enterprise. Through this agreement, they are doing the bid rigging or collusive bidding. Which is having an adverse effect on competition. Got it? So you know how we bid it. Like first of all, in auction or in bidding, you have to fix the floor price. Like I am telling you, you have to start your bidding from rupees 100 and you cannot exceed more than 5,000. For example, 500. So if you are supposed to bid in between this, then the person will start from 100, then 200 like this. And you have to finish it by 500. Whoever will tell me the highest price, that highest bidder will become the purchaser. Got it? Now, this is actually surprise for all the purchaser, or everyone will be invited in the auction hall, and after that only they will start bidding. Now from beforehand, I have done the setting with you that tomorrow the bidding is going to start. Okay, I am going to sell whoever will tell 490. So you only charge 490, then I will give it to you. So beforehand, I am telling you about the bidding. Na? This should be the surprise thing. All the buyers should come and they will bid as per how much they can afford. Got it? So whenever I am fixing you, so whoever say anything, I am going to sell to you only. So we have done the setup from before. So these are all collusive bidding. I cannot do such thing. I cannot enter into such agreement with you. Clear? Hello?
I forgot to unmute it, ma'am.
Huh?
Yeah, I understood.
Okay. So these are the 4 points which agreements are restricted as per Competition Act. Got it.
Hmm.
But one thing is allowed, that is one proviso is there. What do you mean by the term proviso? Proviso is exception. So whenever there is one exception, we called it as proviso. And whenever you will see in a law, it is written provided, then you will see lot of exceptions will be there.
Hmm.
So one exception is there which agreement is allowed, that is if you enter into an agreement by way of joint venture, which and such agreement, if your intention is to increase the efficiency in production or supply, distribution, storage, acquisition, or control of goods, whatever I have written in the first point, which was restricted, was there. If you are having any negative intention. So if you entered into an agreement for all these things, but your intention is good to increase efficiency, and you are entering the agreement by way of joint venture, then such agreement is allowed.
Hmm.
Yes. Now, this is clear. This is prohibition of agreements as per Competition Act. Or
Yeah.
else, other term you can also write, that is anti-competitive agreement. Exam may ask anti-competitive agreement. Same answer, huh? For both. Next is, there are some points which cause adverse effect on competition of India. So there are some points, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points, which actually cause adverse effect on competition. Okay. First I am writing the point, then I will explain. First point is tie-in agreement. These questions usually comes from competition, like explain the situation which cause adverse effect on competition in India. Tie-in arrangement.
Hmm.
Next is exclusive supply agreement. Next, exclusive distribution agreement. Refusal to deal. Resale price maintenance. So these are the 5 points which is coming under, like, which we called it like these are the 5 points cause adverse effect on competition. That means which caused wrong, or if these are all the coming under the unfair means in competition. Clear? First, I'm coming in tie-in arrangement. Tie-in arrangement means I just now I said na, ki I am telling you if you want to purchase this product, you have to purchase from me only. So I am trying to tie a purchaser. Got it? So it includes an agreement actually, which requires a purchaser of goods at a condition of such purchase. So whenever I am just tying, T-I-I-N-G, tying a purchaser with certain conditions. Got it? So I am just giving him the condition which I should not give. So I cannot tie any purchaser by giving the condition. For example, like that, I am telling I am having a shop, okay, and I am telling I will give you, if you want to purchase anything, you have to purchase from my shop. Otherwise, I will not give your children to go to school. I will do some chaos there. So all this type of threatenings or these things are given to increase your business, but this arrangement is cause adverse effect in competition. Got it? Because first of all, you are restricting other people to sell the goods to you. So for example, like there is a medicine shop, here also a medicine shop. So you are doing tie-in agreement. Now the person, these persons, what happened? They are not doing tie-in agreement. So they means whoever will come, they will sell this medicine. But whenever you are doing this thing, your intention is not good, that you are restricting the purchaser to go here. So you don't want your consumer to go here and buy the product, right? So you are doing the competition in an unfair means. That you cannot do. You can win the competition through your innovation, through your quality, through your behavior, but you cannot win the competition through means by threatening or by unfair means. Got it? So tie-in arrangement is one of the wrong thing which if you do it, which may cause adverse effect in competition. Got it? Next is exclusive supply agreement. Any agreement which restricting in any manner the purchaser in the course of trade from acquiring or otherwise dealing in any goods. Exclusive supply agreement means you are a supplier or a seller. So you have entered into an agreement that exclusively such product is going to be supplied by you to that person only. Got it? Through that agreement. So this person cannot take this product from any other person. So exclusive supply. Got it? So that person should take that supply or that goods exclusively from you. This is also a type of tie-in arrangement only, because through exclusive supply also your intention is to tie that person. Got it? So that is also not allowed. Next is exclusive distribution agreement, that you have targeted the area. So this you said to that area that exclusively in this area I am going to distribute the goods. No other party can enter. Got it? So for example, like whatever happening, you are having a decorating business. So decoration means all the decorating things you will only give. The other new entrant is not eligible to enter into that area. But that is not true, right? If that person wants to sell something here, so why he cannot? Though the area is not your property, right? So anyone can come and sell, but you cannot restrict that exclusively the distribution will be done from my side only. So such thing is also a wrong thing. Next is refusal to deal. You are dealing with those person only, those who are in the rich category. That means you know those who can pay you. But some persons or some group of person who cannot give you the, for example, you are charging excessively, first of all, and you are targeting those people only who can pay you. First of all, you should not charge excessively. Whatever is MRP, you should take that only. Now think, a seller is purchasing a pen whose actually MRP is 12. So, for example, he knows like if we charge this pen of 12 rupees, of rupees 20 rupees also, then only this group is going to purchase. Got it? So you are fixing excessive price and you are selling to those means those group only, and you are earning profit. Got it? But those group which is not going to entertain all those things, like I will tell you, no, this is the market, this is not the market rate. The actual market rate is 12. Why should I give you 20? You are not going, you will refuse to deal to me. You won't sell the thing to me. So, as per law, you cannot choose the consumer to sell. Whoever will come to your shop, you will sell. Okay, and that is also in a justifiable manner. You cannot choose that, no, I will, whatever I am charging, whoever can pay, that person will pay me. Why you are charging so much? Okay, so why the normal people cannot take entry into your shop, or normal people cannot buy that product from you? So you are refusing to deal with those person, okay, who is not going to give you the excessive amount. So that is also a type of adverse effect, cause adverse effect.
Okay.
Next is resale price maintenance. That means this is an agreement actually to sell goods on condition. Resale means, you know, na, you are selling the same goods,
Mm.
whatever you sold before, or whatever you have purchased. So that resale price, if you don't maintain, got it, by the purchaser shall be price stipulated by the seller and clearly stated price lower than those prices. Obviously, whatever will be the actual MRP rate,
Mm.
the resale price must be less than MRP.
Mm.
Obviously. So, for example, think you have bought a micro oven, okay, for rupees 8,000. You have used this micro oven for 4 years. So, obviously, this is an asset, depreciation is there. Now, after 4 years, the price should decrease. It cannot increase. So, after 4 years, think you will sell this micro oven in OLX, or in you are going to exchange this. So, whether you will get the full 8,000? No, na.
No.
You have to charge less than 8,000
Mm.
as per condition. Got it? See, if the condition is very good, then also you will get just half, and otherwise less. So that is the thing. Whenever you are going to resell anything, you have to maintain the price. If you say it is a second hand, or I am reselling it and you are charging more than the MRP rate, that is also not allowed as per Competition Act.
Mm.
Got it?
Yeah.
Next. Next heading is prohibition of abuse of dominant position. Okay. So this is prohibition of abuse of dominant position, means who is taking the advantage of his position. That is abuse of dominant position means. That means you are simply misusing your position, and that is prohibited. So indirectly I can say all these are unfair means. So you are competing in unfair means, that is actually prohibited as per Competition Act. Okay. So write 3 points under unfair means or prohibition of abuse of dominant position. First point, right? Purchase or sale of goods or services. First of all, purchase or sale of goods and services by unfair means is not allowed. Okay. Next point is one should not show the position of strength So if you are in a you are in a position, for example, MLA, MPs like that. So you are a special person or you are a celebrity. That's why you cannot means the seller cannot sell you at a lower price or at a free of cost.
Hmm.
Got it. So you cannot show, you should not show the position of strength, or you should not take the advantage of your position. First of all. And third one prohibition is the sale of goods at a price which is below the cost. Already we have read predatory pricing, which is prohibited. Got it. So this is also coming under this abuse of dominant position. You cannot sell any product or any goods at below cost price, actual cost price. Got it. So all of these three actually is going to affect the competition of a person who is doing in a fair means. Because this is unfair means. And unfair means always um, create harm to the people of fair means. For them only, the fair mean people are going to lose the consumer or customer. Clear? Now, any confusion here?
No, ma'am.
Now, next is, what do you mean by combination under Competition Act? So heading give regulation of combination. What do you mean by combination actually under competition? First point, in acquisition, what do you mean by acquisition? Purchase of anything. In acquisition, the parties involved
One company.
being the acquirer and the enterprise whose control, shares, voting rights, or assets have been acquired either in India or outside India. Okay. Then the combination regulation is going to be imposed on you. So the thing is, under Competition Act, there is one term combination, and combination is having certain rules and regulations. So the now question is, in what situation such combination rules and regulation is going to become applicable on you? Got it? Now think there was an acquisition. Acquisition means purchase of one company by other company. Okay. Now in case of acquisition or else whatever, means one company is acquiring the other company, here whoever the parties are involved, who are parties are involved, there are two companies there. So one company is acquiring this other company. So the company who is acquiring is known as acquirant company. Okay. And the enterprise, and this acquirer company is acquiring the company's what? Either they are taking the full control of the company, or else acquirer is purchasing the shares of such company, or taking all the voting rights of the company, or taking all the assets of the company. In this way the acquisition is happening. But such acquisition has been done either in India or outside India. So whenever such acquisition of a company will be happening, in such cases, combination regulation is going to become applicable on your company. This is the first point. Clear?
Hmm.
Second point, under regulation of combination. If a person has a direct or indirect control over another enterprise, which enterprise engaged in production, distribution, or trading of similar or identical goods, such person can acquire a control over an enterprise. In India or outside India. Okay. So what is the thing? Like if a person has a direct or indirect control over one enterprise. Now think the first, this one what? In first point we read both are company. One company is acquiring the other company. Got it? Second point we are reading one person is acquiring or taking the control of the other enterprise. If such enterprise is engaged in all these things, production, distribution, or trading of similar identical goods, which this person's business is also same. What business this person is doing, same business is there with this enterprise only. Got it? Now such person is having right to acquire or to take the control of such enterprise in India or outside India as per the regulation of combination. Got it?
Yeah, ma'am.
Third point. Where is my cursor? Oh, Baba.
Hmm.
Next is point number um, 3. Na?
Yeah.
Mm, Next is date of market pause. Why I have not written this point number 3? Okay. So this is actually think in case of uh, merger. Okay. Think in case of merger or in case the company is proposing the merger, proposed merger, there merger means what? Two companies going to merge together.
Hmm.
So in such cases, the value of assets when they are going to merge it, the value of assets shall be determined by taking the book value of the asset. That means whenever they are going to, in the time of merger, whenever the two companies merging, when they are going to value the asset, they are going to do the value on the based on book value. Got it? And that is also they will take the book value of asset in any financial year. Got it? And such value or such asset should include the brand value or the value of goodwill, copyright, patent, all these things. It should include brand value, goodwill, copyright, patent, collective marks, all these valuation they should do at the time of merger, that is as per regulation of combination. So combination is always, you have to think like when two companies combining together, what are the rules they need to follow as per Competition Act.
Hmm.
Next, any person or an enterprise who proposes to enter into combination. Combination can be of any types. Okay, merger, amalgamation, acquisition, takeover, whatever we have read in that
Hmm.
regards. So whenever any person or any enterprise proposes to enter into combination, shall give notice to the commission. We will read about commission after this. This commission will be known as Combination Commission of India. Got it? Who is going to regulate this Competition Act or who is going to follow this Competition Act. So, whenever any person or enterprise is proposed to enter into the combination or they wants to enter means do the combined or they wants to go into a new way through combination their assets or something, then first of all they needs to give the notice to the competition commission. Okay, commission, and in this notice actually, in this notice they should disclose the details of proposed combination. And such notice needs to be given within 7 days of proposing, of proposal actually. acceptance of proposal of entering into a combination. So whenever a person and enterprise will be in a decision that they wants to combine together, then immediately they need to send a notice to the commission, and in that notice they will disclose the details of the proposed combination. So they are proposing, like we were choosing the combination as merger. Okay. So A will merge with B, and whenever they will merge with B and will form AB, so they are going to write the details of AB, proposed details of AB to the commission. Got it?
Yeah.
Next. Five. On receipt of such notice, on receipt of such notice, commission is going to verify such notice or will deal with such notice as per provision of the act. That means commission is going to check whether the notice has been served as per law or not.
Mm.
6. Now, whatever we are going on, like this combination regulation, okay, such regulation is not applicable in case if there is an acquisition by any financial institution or foreign institutions investor or any type of bank or the company whose main objective is to deal with venture capital fund. Got it? So for these type of companies, whenever these type of companies will do acquisition, combination regulation is not applicable for them.
Okay.
Next is, but these institutions will come always. Whether I am talking about like if these institution wants to combine, then the combination regulation is not going to become applicable. But whenever your normal company or any person or enterprise is going to combine, then also your all these authority will be there, like bank, financial institution, because you have taken loan from them. Got it? All those authority will be there. Or else if you are doing any type of foreign investment, then also the foreign institution investor may be there. Now, in normal thing, next point you write, PFI after combination, Provident Fund Institution, Provident Fund of India actually, or foreign institution, institutional investor, or your bank, they are going to within 7 days actually, within 7 days of acquisition, they will file the statement, you can say details of control, all these things they are going to file with the commission. Because why I'm telling you, if it is a combination, it may be acquisition, it may be merger, it may be compromise, or it may be takeover, whatever it is. So whenever the one company is acquiring other company, money is also coming, na? So A is purchasing B. So A needs to pay to B for purchasing such company. So always payment will be made through bank, If it is a foreign company, then foreign institution investor will come into the scene. Clear? The employees are also transferring, so you need to inform to the Provident Fund of India. So all these institutions is also going to file the details of control or the acquisition details to the commission within 7 days. Clear? So these are all about regulation of combination.